Hi. So, a couple of podcasts now, I've been talking about this author named Michael Singer. And he's the author of Untethered Soul, which is a great book recommended for everyone to check out who wants to practice living a life that is not dependent on what goes on outside the world, but is really about just living life in a very conscious, loving, kind way in which everything that happens turns you on. Like you don't mind what happens. And he also wrote a book called The Surrender Experiment, which was really good and talks about a period in his life in which he was a long period of his life in which life was meeting him with some amazing challenges, some daunting challenges, or they could have been daunting. But he surrendered, and what that created for his life and how that also deepened his development on his path to become more present, more mindful, more loving, and more kind. So most recently, I'm re-listening to a lecture series that he's done. And he really inspired me to think about and reflect just a little bit about my life. And so one of the passages that he talked about was he was saying that, you want to be so blissed out now that you don't have time to think about or remember past good times or things that made you happy before. At age 80, if someone asks, don't you want to go back to your 20s? You would say, why would I want to do that? It's been fun every step of the way, and I'm having a blast now at age 80. I feel good and I feel love all the time. And I think about that right now with the way that I'm living my life. And it is just absolutely amazing the way I'm living my life. And it has almost nothing to do with what's happening externally outside of me, like in the external world. Because a lot of people would say, why would you want to live right now, have this be the new normal for, that we are in 2022 with the pandemic and with the divisiveness and out there in the world with politics and all those things. And like, I'm not bothered by any of those things that are happening that's going on. I take practical action, like when I'm in places that require masks, I wear a mask. And, when it comes to vaccinations, I made a choice, regarding vaccinations that is right with me and is aligned with the guidance that my employer has given, who I trust. So like I haven't made an enemy of any kind of situation. And I certainly haven't demanded that other people make the same choices that I've made. So I'm good inside because of the work that I've done. And so when I think about what I, want to go back to 10, pre-pandemic, whether it's 2 years ago or whether I would want to go back to 10 years ago when I was young, both, physically. And the answer is no. I wouldn't want to go back there. Like I had a good time back there, but it was also a lot of suffering because of what was going on inside. I was still complaining a lot 10 years ago. I was obsessive, or overwhelmed and involved with a lot of obsessive thinking. And I was a little bit of rumination about the past, and I was planning like for the future. And even when I got what I want, I wasn't satisfied with it. I was on to the next thing. No matter what it was, I was like, hey, listen, can we do this again next time? While I'm still in the midst of having that experience now. On vacations that were supposed to be places to where I was going to be rejuvenated and recover, I was taking that same mindset there. So I wasn't fully present for the vacation or for the experience that it could offer. I had not yet learned how every day could be a vacation, no matter what was going on. We're understaffed. I accept that. Under resourced. Okay, cool. Whatever it was, I did not know how to be okay with whatever showed up. So while that time in my life had its purpose, I'm so happy to be right now in this place in my life. And that's because years ago, I set out on a path. I made a commitment that no matter what happens outside of me, I want to be okay inside. And now my new commitment is I want to be turned on by no matter what happens. I'm not turned off, turned on. I don't care what it is. Flat tire, want to be turned on. Don't want to be bothered. Not only do I not want to be bothered by it, I want to be okay with it. And on the other side of being okay with it is to be turned on by it. So I'm getting to the point to where more and more things, as I expand my consciousness and become aware of my limits and barriers and edges that I was not aware of before, that I become okay with those. And now I'm ready to continue to do the practice and see what's unfold. And what I think will unfold, if Michael Singer is on the right track here, is I'll be turned on with no matter what happens or who I'm around, it won't matter. Like, how cool would that be? And so a year from now, when somebody asks me, man, would you want to go back to last year? Like, why would I want to do that? I'm like great here because I continue to progress. And from a physical standpoint, I learned, fortunately, in my early 20s of how important it was to take care of my body. And again, there's some things that are out of your control, but for the things that were inside of my control with my nutrition and, when that alarm clock gets up to get out of bed every single time to do my workout, no excuses, non-negotiable, as my friend Tim taught me. And that this kind of commitment to physical health travels well, even on vacations and on the weekends and days off. Because of that commitment to do those things physically, I continue to be in the best shape of my life. And I've been able to say that every year for the last 30 plus years, which is something that I'm really grateful for. Not proud of, but I'm really grateful for that kind of commitment. And now that I have applied that commitment to working on this, to quiet the mind so that my conscious and higher self can lead me through life, instead of being led by my mind and my ego and my biases and my positions that create separation and distance from other people, regardless of what they think and who they are, their backgrounds. I want connection. I want everybody to be a friend. I want to show up as a contribution to everybody because of that commitment that I have with my physical well-being that I'm applying to this part of myself. Like, I'm loving today. Pandemic, no pandemic, doesn't matter. Out of my control, not my call. Like, how do I do that? And this practice has answered that question time and time again. It's provided me that map so that I can live this extraordinary way. And I guess it's only extraordinary because it's different from the normal way that I was living, which is like insane to be living that way, to where you don't give a moment's peace. You don't have a moment's peace because you can't stop thinking. There's no break from the stream of obsessive thinking that is not healthy. And so, no, I wouldn't want to go back to a year ago. And the only reason I wouldn't want to go back to a year ago, because I was loving a year ago, is because where I am now is even sweeter, is even richer, fuller, because I haven't taken a day off of the practice. You know what they say about heroes, no days off for heroes. And so I continue to do this thing here, and I am hopeful and committed to not let up, so that I continue to love where I am and not pine for days past. And another thing that I don't do is I look to the future, which is a made up concept because you only have the present moment, but for practical purpose of planning for retirement, planning for vacations and things like that. But the extent to which I look forward to it is just to take practical action, booking a flight, looking at hotel prices and booking, but not ruminating about whether or not, or worrying about whether or not the flight is going to be on time, or if the hotel reservations will be honored and we get the room that we booked. I don't do that anymore. Like, whatever happens when I show up there, deal with it then. But for now, I'm not spoiling the present moment with that kind of useless, unproductive thinking. And so I just love being where I am now. So the question is that the space that you're in now, would you want to go back to the past? If so, consider not making it about what was going on in the external world, but making it about what was going on inside of you. And the next question I'd like you to answer is, if you, with your current inner state now, of whether it's worry, feeling overwhelmed, feeling burned out, whatever that is for you. Do you want to be how you want that to be how you feel in the future, next year? And if the answer is yes, keep doing what you're doing. If the answer is no, try something different. And not only try it, be committed to it. So for me, do I want to go back? Nah, I'm loving where I am now. And I hope you are too.